In 1914, the world was very different. Empires ruled Europe. Kings and queens still held real power. And a single murder changed everything. That murder happened in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914. A young man shot Archduke Franz Ferdinand. He was the heir to Austria-Hungary. His name was Gavrilo Princip, a Serbian student. Austria blamed Serbia and gave them a harsh ultimatum. Serbia refused. So Austria declared war. Then the alliances pulled everyone in. Russia came to protect Serbia. Germany supported Austria. France supported Russia. And Britain joined too. In just weeks, Europe was at war. People cheered in the streets. They thought it would be over by Christmas. They were terribly wrong. The Great War lasted 4 years and changed the world forever. Germany's plan was called the Schlieffen Plan. Attack France fast, then turn to Russia. So Germany marched through Belgium. Belgium was neutral. Britain demanded they stop. Germany ignored them. So Britain entered the war. German soldiers pushed deep into France. But near Paris, they were stopped. The Battle of the Marne saved France. Both armies then dug in. They built trenches, miles and miles of trenches, from the sea all the way to the mountains. This became the Western Front. Millions of soldiers lived underground. The trenches were muddy and cold. Rats and lice were everywhere. Soldiers called it hell on earth. Between the lines lay no man's land. Barbed wire protected both sides. Machine guns guarded the trenches. Charging across was suicide. Both sides attacked again and again, and gained almost nothing. This was the new kind of war, a war of attrition. Whoever lost more men would lose. Millions would die. In December 1914, something strange happened. Along the front, soldiers stopped firing. They sang Christmas carols. They exchanged gifts in no man's land. It became known as the Christmas Truce. For one night, enemies became friends. Then the war continued. Many would never forget that night. New weapons made the war even deadlier. In 1915, Germany used poison gas. The first gas attack shocked the world. Soldiers choked to death in the trenches. Gas masks became essential equipment. Flamethrowers were also new. Tanks appeared in 1916. Britain used them at the Somme. Tanks could cross the trenches, but they were slow and broke down. Airplanes changed war forever. At first, they only took photos. Then pilots carried guns. The Red Baron became a legend. He shot down 80 planes. But he too fell in the end. Submarines changed the war at sea. German U-boats hunted supply ships. They sank anything near Britain. In 1915, a U-boat sank the Lusitania. Over 1,000 people died. Americans were furious. The war was now worldwide. In the east, Germany fought Russia. Russia had millions of soldiers, but they were poorly equipped. Many went to war without rifles. At Tannenberg, Germany crushed the Russians. But Russia had endless men. The Eastern Front was enormous. It moved back and forth. Both sides suffered huge losses. The Ottomans joined the war too. They sided with Germany. Britain attacked the Ottoman Empire at Gallipoli. The plan was to open a new supply route. It failed terribly. Thousands of troops died on the beaches. Soldiers from Australia and New Zealand fought there. The campaign was a disaster. The Allies retreated in defeat. In 1916, the Germans attacked Verdun. They wanted to bleed France dry. Verdun became a fortress of death. It lasted 10 months. Nearly 1 million men were wounded or killed. France's hero was General Pétain. He promised they would not pass. And they did not pass. That summer, Britain attacked the Somme. The first day was the worst day. Britain lost 20,000 men in a single day. The Somme lasted 5 months. Over 1 million men fell. And the front barely moved. These battles changed how people saw war. Newspapers called it sacrifice. The soldiers called it slaughter. At sea, the two great navies met. In 1916, they clashed at Jutland. It was the largest naval battle of the war. Both sides claimed victory, but neither side won. The blockade remained the real weapon. Britain starved Germany with its navy. Germany answered with U-boats. The War of Hunger began. Back home, life changed completely. Whole economies were turned to war. Factories made shells and rifles. Women took over the jobs. They worked in factories and on farms. Women became the backbone of the war. Food was rationed everywhere. The radio brought news from the front. Children collected metal for weapons. Every family feared the telegram. The telegram meant death. Families waited for months. Hope faded slowly. Nurses faced their own battle. They worked in terrible conditions. Nurse Edith Cavell saved soldiers from both sides. She was executed for it. Her story inspired the world. Spies operated behind the lines. Matahari became the most famous. She was accused of spying, and she was executed too. The war consumed everything it touched. In 1917, the war took a new turn. Germany announced unrestricted submarine warfare. They would sink any ship near Britain. This threatened American ships. Then the Zimmermann telegram was discovered. Germany offered Mexico a secret deal: attack America and regain lost land. America was outraged. In April 1917, America joined the war. American troops crossed the Atlantic. The first ones arrived in June. They were fresh and full of energy. The Allies called them doughboys. Their arrival lifted morale. That same year, Russia collapsed. The Russian people had suffered enough. Bread was running out. Riots broke out in Petrograd. The Tsar was forced to step down. Then the Bolsheviks seized power. Lenin promised peace. Russia signed a treaty and left the war. Germany moved its armies west. Germany now had one last chance. On the Italian front, the war raged too. Italy had joined the Allies in 1915. They fought Austria in the mountains. At Caporetto, Italy suffered a terrible defeat. Italian soldiers fell by the thousands, but they held on. In the desert, a new hero appeared. T.E. Lawrence helped lead the Arab revolt. He attacked the Ottoman railway. He became known as Lawrence of Arabia. The Ottoman Empire was falling apart. In spring 1918, Germany attacked. They pushed hard toward Paris. This was the German Spring Offensive. For a moment, they almost won. But the Allies held the line. American troops fought bravely. At Belleau Wood, the Marines earned their legend. They pushed the Germans back. Then the Allies counterattacked. Tanks and fresh troops together. The 100 Days Offensive began. German lines began to break. Their army was exhausted. Their people were starving. The blockade was killing Germany. Mutinies broke out in the German Navy. Soldiers began refusing orders. The German Kaiser abdicated. On November 11, 1918, at 11 in the morning, the guns finally fell silent. The war was over. People celebrated across the world. But the celebration was short. The world then counted the cost. The Great War was the deadliest war yet. 10 million soldiers were killed. 20 million were wounded. 7 million civilians died too. The Spanish flu killed even more. It swept the world in 1918. Whole families were wiped out. The war left a generation missing. In some villages, every man died. The wounded came home changed. They called it shell shock. We call it PTSD today. The peace treaty was signed at Versailles. It happened in 1919. The Allies blamed Germany completely. Germany had to pay enormous reparations. Germany lost land and colonies. Its army was cut to almost nothing. Many Germans felt humiliated. That anger would explode later. The old empires were gone. Austria-Hungary was split into new nations. The Ottoman Empire collapsed. The map of the Middle East was redrawn. New countries were born. Some borders still cause conflict today. The seeds of a second war were planted. World War I was supposed to end all wars. Instead, it created the next one. 20 years later, war came again. This time it was even worse. The soldiers who fought believed in something. They believed it would be over quickly. They died in their millions. For little land. For little change. The war poets told the truth. Wilfred Owen wrote about the horror. His words still shake readers today. Their sacrifice must not be forgotten. Every year we remember them. Poppies bloom over their graves. Red poppies became the symbol of their sacrifice. Because poppies grew in the scarred fields, life returned to those fields. But the scars never fully healed. The Great War reshaped our world. It redrew borders. It toppled empires. It changed the role of women. It changed medicine. It changed how we see war itself. Artillery became the god of war. It killed more men than any weapon. Millions of shells fell every week. They turned the earth into craters. Zeppelins flew over cities. They dropped bombs on civilians. The first bombing of cities began. Propaganda shaped what people believed. Posters made the enemy look monstrous. They convinced young men to join. Young men rushed to recruiting offices. They lied about their age to fight. Some were barely 16. The war took boys and made them men. Or it took them completely. War bonds paid for the machines of war. Everyone was asked to give. Children bought stamps to help. The war touched every single life. The United States arrived in force. Their fresh troops turned the tide. They fought at the Meuse Argonne. It was their biggest battle of the war. Over 100,000 Americans fell. The flow never stopped. In the air, heroes were made daily. Aces dueled above the trenches. They were the knights of the sky, and most of them died young. The sea was a graveyard too. Merchant ships sailed in convoys. Destroyers guarded them from U-boats. It was a slow, deadly dance. The Allies finally beat the U-boat threat. That victory fed Britain and helped end the war. The soldiers remembered everything. They remembered their dead friends. They remembered the mud and the fear. When they came home, they were silent. The whole world fell silent with them. At the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the peace arrived, but peace never came for the dead. Their names are carved in stone, on every memorial in every town. We read them every year. Their sacrifice gave us our world, the world they dreamed of, the world they never saw. Let us honor them by remembering their stories, lest we forget.